Welcome back to the show. Let's go to line number 5. Say good morning to the Liberal member of the House of Assembly, elected in and serving the folks of Mount Pearl South, Paul Lane. Good morning, Paul. You're on the air.
Good morning, Paddy. How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing just fine, Paddy, although I have to say this has been a very disappointing last number of days, to say the least, with the decision which came down this past Saturday as it relates to the school reorganization in Mount Pearl.
Yeah, there's lots of meat on that bone. It was the opportunity for those to provide feedback prior to a decision being made, and then the decision itself, and then, of course, the China wall we've got between the school board trustees and the Department of Education, which I find the most unacceptable part of it, personally.
Well, absolutely, and we also have to remember what we have here is we have an unelected board. Some of the members may have been elected originally to the other boards before the collapse into the mega board, but the bottom line is this board hasn't been elected, and clearly the minister is has decided that he wants to I'm going to say hide behind that board. But the bottom line is, Paddy, is that this issue is not something that happened overnight, and that's one of the points I think is important to get out there. And when I was first elected some 2.5 years ago, I became very much aware of the issue in St. Peter's Elementary in particular, and as did my other colleagues in Mount Pearl. We had meetings with the St. Peter's Elementary School Council, had meetings with the then Eastern School District before it was changed into the English School District, and also had meetings with the Minister of Education. And according to the St. Peter's Elementary School Council, they had been lobbying the Eastern School Board long before we even got involved. And the bottom line is, Paddy, is that, this whole concept which we have now at St. Peter's Elementary, by way of example, where there are children that are eating lunch at their desk, doing gym class and doing music in the cafeteria. They've lost their music room, lost their resource room. They've had what was 2 classrooms turned into 3 classrooms. This wasn't a case of like last year all this happened. This was a case of it got chipped away year over year over year over year. And we have the exact same situation happen at Mount Pearl Senior High. And I was at the meeting and the public meeting and listened very intently to the chairperson of the Mount Pearl Senior High School Council, who indicated the same thing. It was a case of year over year over year they had to start chipping into all their specialty space, their music rooms, their resource centers, and all that kind of stuff to fit more classrooms. Now they're to a point, as is St. Peter's Elementary, where all the specialty space has been taken up. As I said, kids are doing gym class in the cafeteria, and now we have even more kids coming. Now we're in a crisis, and status quo is simply not going to work for St. Peter's or Mount Pearl Senior High, and now we're rushed to make this rash decision that's going to have an absolutely devastating impact on a number of school communities.
Paul, I mean, we all have our issues with this entire setup, but as for some of the year over year that you were talking about, you remember the government with privy to conversation and access to this show and other public forums, but no comment from you then, and that these are your constituents. Why not?
Well, Paddy, as I said, look, I had, and I'll say for the record, when I was on the government side, I engaged in, as did my other colleagues, I engaged in conversations and with the school council. I engaged in conversations with the then Eastern School District, had a number of times, engaged in conversation with the minister when St. Peter's Elementary had a protest last year, protesting the unacceptable conditions. I was at that protest as a government member. I supported them. I spoke to the media in support of those people at that point in time. So in my view, I certainly did speak out for the people in that regard. I mean, obviously, did I come on as a member on the government side, coming out at that point in time condemning the Minister of Education and so on? No, I didn't. But I worked within the system, and I supported the parents all the way. Like I said, I even spoke to the media in support, went to the protests and everything. So supporting St. Peter's Elementary and the other schools is certainly not something new that's happened since I decided to move over to the other side of the House of Assembly. So
the reconfiguration is one thing, and that's only a Band-Aid solution at the very best. So what's the long-term solution? Simply building a new school?
Well, no, I'm not. I have not suggested from day one that we need to, put a bulldozer to perfectly good schools and build new ones. But we have seen situations in other schools. Well, we've actually seen it in brand new schools, which amazes me and speaks to the planning in itself. But where we've had to put in modular classrooms and so on. And I know, for example, at Mount Pearl Senior High, just by way of example, many of the kids they have and the growth they're experiencing is because of the growth in Paradise. And the English School Board said that they would be making a request to the Minister at one of the public meetings I attended back in February. They said they would make a request for a high school in Paradise. Now, if that happens, that's certainly going to alleviate a lot of the strain on Mount Pearl Senior High.
Right.
So in the interim, there's no reason why they can't put some portable classrooms onto Mount Pearl Senior High, in my view, to alleviate that. But the problem is that the board were never given the opportunity to even explore these options, because the direction from the Minister of Education was, until every square inch of space is used up, don't come looking for any capital. And when we see even the proposed solution, for example, for Newtown and St. Peter's Elementary, where St. Peter's will go as a K to 3, Newtown as a 4 to 6, the board has already said that even with these changes, there will still be kids doing gym class and music in the lunchroom. So they're not even solving it. And then we have to look at full-day kindergarten. What are they going to do then?
Well, I mean, we've already...
It's a total mess, to say the least.
Yeah, the numbers there when we talk about renovating 75 schools or building on to 75 schools, hiring the 140 teachers. When we have the exploding population in this part of the province anyway, and this is going to be trickier to implement here than it is outside of town. That's for absolute sure. Paul, you've had the last word. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Paddy. Always a pleasure to speak to you. And like I said, this comes down to poor planning, and I'm calling upon the parents and the grandparents and everybody else to fill Minister Jackman's email box up and Facebook and let him know how you feel. We've got petitions out now. I've been presented one to the House Assembly yesterday. I will continue to do so day after day after day until the Minister decides he's going to start listening to the people.
Appreciate your time this morning, Paul.
Thank you, Paddy.
All the best. Bye-bye. Paul Lane, Liberal member from Mount Pearl South.